Alright, let's go in here, guys. On this Veterans Day, Tuesday, this dreaded Veterans Day. Open up the window so you can see the room better. I got some research about the Navy, my laptop I want to talk to you guys about on this Veterans Day. Let's do some history. Of course, my autograph wall to feel my favorite people in Kenny's wall, and my figurines. Boys count figurines, girls count dolls. And all my Kiss ones in here. Wow, what a career I had, huh? Bosun mate, cook, Navy achievement, master at arms, the battleship, Richmond K. Turner, CG-20, Lieutenant in the Cadets. This is warfare. Auxiliary security forces. Me when I first came in. Then this thing is up there. I don't have a picture of the Bellawood. Ship was dreaded. And my shellback. I don't know how glary it is from the window, but there it is, my shellback. Maybe plaque. Click on no, that's my re-enlistment on the Richmond K. Turner.
My life as an enlisted man to a Sea Cadet officer.
Alright. See here my laptop. Came up my side here. Should be able to see me though. I'll talk about my career, but I'm actually going to talk about it in a write-up that I did. A write-up that I did for the 250th anniversary of the Navy, for Navy Veterans Incorporated. And I tried to share that on Facebook when I actually had my actual account, and to the New Jersey Veterans Incorporated, but it didn't go through. And I tried to share my latest video of the battleship reunion, and that didn't go through because I don't know. So I'm kind of done with those people in a way anyway. The next time I see the battleship, I probably won't go to the reunion at all. I'll probably just go on my own with my wife and I. And it's personal reasons. And it has nothing to do with me not getting the younger sailor, because I have a whole bunch of those anyway. It just has to do with the cost, how much it was, and it just wasn't as fun as it used to be. It's just not worth the cost of hanging out with the few shipmates I barely remember, you know. So that's that. Now cancer. I have cancer. They took out a golf ball size lump right here, and then the other things, I guess. And when they tested it, it was cancerous. They have to wait for my face to heal. Then I gotta go in there and wait for the cancer, like the board, and then I'm going to zap my face. I guess I'd just say, I'm trying to say zap my face. And I talked more about that in my health update video. So just keep me in your prayers. I got my cadet officer hat on. Of course, I had a lot shorter hair then. Yeah. Let me read to you what I wrote. What I wrote for this veterans group. All right. I joined the Navy following under the footsteps of my grandfather, Francis W. Inch. He was a World War II veteran. I never thought I would have ended up serving a total of 26 years. I served from 1984 to 2000, roughly 2008, and then 2011 to 2013. My first command was the USS New Jersey, BB-62, in which I was the left lower powder door operator with turret 3. And how loud it was, how the ship shook. Boom! It shook when they fired those 55 caliber guns at Lebanon. 16-inch 54 caliber guns. Think about it. Those are big guns. I came on board as a deck seaman, and left the battleship as a bosun mate second class. I was in 3rd Division, Weapons Department. I went on to work with a science team in Edmondson Scott South Post Station in Antarctica for 2 weeks. And then I went on to work with the Cargo Battalion Unit 5 in Sandpoint, Washington. Cargo Battalion Unit 5 in Sandpoint. And I was with the Navy Reserves at that time. I sadly never made chief in the Navy, and this is why. I came back in active duty. I had to start over again. I started over again as a seaman cook, MSSN. Then worked my way back up to 3rd and then 2nd class, MS3 to MS2. I went TAD first on the USS Underwood, FFD-36, where I worked during boarding ops with the Coast Guard. Then I went on to the U.S. Richmond K. Turner, CG-20, as a pantry cook. While there, I was TAD on the USS Shenandoah, AD-44, as we were doing repairs on the ship and worked at the galley with them, then onto the, and okay, so what happened was we were on Med Cruise 1993, and we had a typhoon, bad one. We had to do repairs, so we docked by the Shenandoah. For a few weeks, I was a cook in the Shenandoah galley, which was kind of cool. And I'll tell you about my deployments after this, okay? Then I was on to the John C. Stennis, CVN 74, as a stateroom supervisor, and then show duty at NAF State Newport, Rhode Island, where I cross-rated to Master at Arms. Made MA1 SWO late on board the USS Bellewood, LHA-3, the dreaded Bellewood. I hated the Bellewood. I was treated badly on the Bellewood. Alright. I got injured in a detail in Iraq. I went to Great Lakes for rehab and then retired. In 2011, I got a call to be a cadet training officer. I was honored as a lieutenant. Alright. So that was my cadets. So from 2011 to 2013, I went to cadets. This is what my lieutenant hat is. Alright. Now here's was what I did in the Navy. I did 7 West Pacific deployments. Book of 85, 1986, 1988, 1989, 1990, and 2002 and 2004. 1 Mediterranean cruise in 1993, 2 Caribbean deployments, 1994, 1995. With that, I traveled to 58 countries total and hit 116 ports of call. And 18 times I went to Singapore, which became my way away from home. I served in combat in Lebanon, Bosnia, the Gulf, 2 tours in Iraq, and was proud to have served. The Navy has taught me to stand for the Constitution, democracy, and freedom. The Constitution, democracy, and freedom, which this government knows nothing about, which Donald J. Trump, a fascist dictator, knows nothing about. I always fight for those values, fair winds and following seas, to all the future sailors and the sailors that's currently serving in the United States Navy. Go Navy! Go Navy beat Army. I always love those Navy Army games too. Alright. So that's what I wrote. That was a heck of a write-up. I think it's too late now to submit your picture, but it was pretty cool. I submitted 3 pictures total, and all 3 of them was me on the battleship. Because the battleship was the greatest ship I ever served on. Right? And with that, I'm going to give shout-outs. Facebook. My Facebook got closed somehow. Okay. So if you see me on Facebook, guys, I am on Facebook as a mermaid now. And I am Tiger Lee, Tygerleigh. It's under my wife's other account. Remember, a little bit people know that you can get 2 accounts. You actually have 2 accounts on Facebook automatically. You create your main account, and then you can make underneath that account you can create either a business account or another personal account. My wife never created another account under hers. So I said, well, let's be mermaids, you know. And it's fun because I created a mermaid group, and it is pretty neat. So if you guys do want to join me on there, that's why I'm at and hopefully next year, as the dust settles, and I'll be able to make my own Facebook account under my actual name again, Timothy Kerofsky. I hope so. I don't know what I did to get kicked off Facebook. I always shared my Bible verses, of course, of the day. I did share a lot of political posts because it is a political arena right now, and we should have the right to do what we want to do on Facebook. They flagged a couple pictures of mine of my cousins and I in Hawaii, and they said the pictures were inappropriate, which I don't understand how they were family pics. And I don't know, and then I ended up getting kicked off Facebook. So, which is stupid. I was on that account for 13 years, and I was on my other account for 6 years. 19 years I gave to Facebook, and then they treated me like a piece of garbage at the end, like I'm a criminal. And all I was doing was inspiring people with my Bible verses, quotes of the day, and my memes. So, whatever. If I'm going to make a new account, I might not. So, anyway, you can find me as a mermaid. And I want to give a Veterans Day shout out to all my shipmates whom I've served with on the battleship New Jersey, BB-62, the Science Tymon, Admiral Scott South Post Station. The USS Underwood, FAT-36, the Richmond K. Turner, CG-20, PAD on the USS Shenandoah, AD-44, USS John C. Stennis, CVN-74, NAVSTAY Newport, Rhode Island, USS Bellewood, LHA-3, and NAVSTAY Great Lakes, and to all the Marines, Coast Guard, Air Force, and Army, and the National Guard. Happy Veterans Day to everyone. To all the veterans who served or are currently serving. Happy Veterans Day to everyone. Today is a day of celebration. Not supposed to be a somber day. But it is kind of somber because we have a dictator in the White House. Prices of everything are high. That's why I decided not to go out on Veterans Day. And another thing, I'm not filling it up to par either. Haven't been 100%. We paid outrageous cost for groceries. Double the price that we paid for just a few months ago. And that was just the regular groceries. Not a lot of junk food. And we did buy some candy for Halloween, but not a lot of junk food, just the regular groceries. And so, yeah, but just people struggling to make ends meet like everybody else. And as Trump builds his golden ballroom, his pride room. Man alive, I wish that guy could be in prison where he belongs. I really do. And that's all I'm going to say about that, because people know that he's an evil dictator and he doesn't belong running this country. He's running this country downhill. The health of this country is going really bad. The cost of this country is going really bad. And we are the laughing stock of other countries around the world. I'm going to pause this and talk to you in a bit. We'll talk about some Navy history. All right. Here's the history of the Navy, pieced together from several different sources on the web of from the Naval Institute, from the Navy itself, from Wikipedia. I don't know how reliable that is. There's a Warfare Institute, NHCC. I don't know exactly what that stood for, but it had Navy information on it, both of the Navy, and Britannica. The history of the Navy dates back to its establishment on October 13th, 1775. October 13th, 1775. So you know, continent, okay. It was during the American Revolutionary War, evolving through significant complex modernization efforts to become a branch of the U.S. Armed Forces. The United States Navy was officially established at the date I mentioned with the Second Continental Congress authorized, and they authorized the creation of the naval forces to protect the American trade and interests against British naval power. So we established a navy to fight the Brits. Okay. This marked the beginning of the Navy tradition that had grown and evolved over the centuries. The Navy's earliest actions included arming the merchant vessels, engaging in Navy battles during the Revolutionary War with notable figures. I wrote this one piece together, and man, I can't talk today. Sorry, guys. That's John Paul Jones, okay? Emerging against one of the key leaders, all right? After the Revolutionary War, the Navy faced challenges in maintaining a permanent force. The Naval Act of 1794, keep that in mind, established a standing navy to combat threats from the Barbary pirates and other foreign powers. Threats from the Barbary pirates and other foreign powers. The original fleet consisted of 6 frigates, which played crucial roles in various conflicts, including the Quasi War with France and the War of 1812 against Britain. All right. Then we get to our Civil War. The American Civil War, 1861 to 1875, was a pivotal moment for the Navy, which utilized both traditional sailing ships and new ironclad vessels. The Union Navy implemented a successful blockade of Confederate ports, significantly impacting the war's outcome. This period also saw advancements in naval technology and tactics, setting the stage for future developments. Now, the Navy modernization from the 19th and 20th centuries, 19th to early 20th century. The Navy underwent significant modernization, transitioning from wooden sailing ships to the steel-hull steamships. Of course, one of the most famous wooden ships is still next to the Navy vessel, the old Ironsides, the USS Constitution, and Boston. Right? Okay, this transformation from the steel to the steel ships was crucial during both World Wars, World War I and World War II. Where the Navy played a vital role in securing the victory of our allies. Right? The Navy's capabilities expanded further with the introduction of aircraft carriers and submarines. Now remember, the first aircraft carrier, all it really was just like a regular ship. So take like a big frigate, for example, and they put a flat deck on it, and they had the old planes, the bi-wing planes, with the propeller. I can't speak today. They're trying to land this platform. You know, could you just imagine that? And they just built like a big flat platform over top of a ship. But then now they have these big super carriers like the Gerald Ford and the Ronald Reagan and the John C. Stennis. Oh my God, Stennis one I served on, of course. Anyway, now the current role of the Navy. Today, the United States Navy is a major branch of the armed forces, responsible for naval operations, maritime security, and supporting other military branches. Its history reflects a commitment to innovation, acceptability, adaptability, and the protection of the national interest at sea. Now, that's what it's supposed to be. Now think about what the hell they're doing right now. Bombing these suspected drug boats. Well, I was on a Coast Guard boarding team. We boarded drug boats. We boarded, bigger vessels that we suspected were drugs on it. That was a Coast Guard operation. And if we want to make an act of war to a country by bombing their vessels for no current reason, just because, oh man, they could have drugs on it. Hey, well, what the heck, You still have to go through Congress, This president has no idea what the hell he's doing. He's an idiot. Anyway, the Navy continues to evolve, facing new challenges, and that's one of the big challenges is Donald Trump. He is destroying our Navy. He's destroying our military, and yeah. The overview highlights the Navy's significant milestones and the ongoing importance of national defense and global maritime operations. For more, so then you want to go for more information, and then all the links that I was talking about. Now, the Wikipedia has the history of the United States Navy. The United States Navy is the birth of the Navy in NHC. The Britannica, the United States Navy history, ships and battles. NavyCom, U.S. Official Navy website, of course. And then there's historical naval history and the great courses, which is actually on Audible. Alright. I just found it all fascinating, but that was some of my research, okay, that I did. Okay, remember though, let's do some more highlights a little bit here. You gotta remember the old Navy was a small and respectable forces of ships, mostly consisting of frigates, to never mind, Brock. and then you have the modern Navy with from the battleship days. The battleship days, I would have to say, would be from World War II, from the creation of the battleships up to just past the Gulf War, the battleship days. To me, that was a great era of the Navy. Ronald Reagan was building up a 600 ship fleet. Gotta remember that. 600 ship fleet was trying to build up, and it was an honor to me to serve on the battleship New Jersey. It was the greatest ship I ever served on, right? Because now in 1845 they established the Navy Academy, in Annapolis, Maryland, and then you got to talk about the Confederate Navy, because remember during the Civil War there was a Confederate Navy and a the Navy under Lincoln. I'm gonna just go over here a couple battles here. What's the South? One of the worst civil wars, one of the worst wars, ever, And we started to really build up a Navy back in the actually 1920s. And women didn't have a lot of active roles in the Navy, Really, that was sad. I mean, they supported the husbands, and some of them became like, military nurses and things like that, but they didn't have a lot of active roles in the older Navy like they do now, because women can be any rate they want to be pretty much now, just like sadly the blacks. And Trump wants to erase their history, but when they came in, they could only be stewards, or stewards or cooks or bosun mates, pretty much. They couldn't work, and they didn't allow the blacks to do much. Same thing with them, Yeah, and there's a whole thing about the new Navy. I don't want to go into too much more detail. And then plus I have talked about the Spanish-American War, and the rise of the modern Navy in the World Wars. But I just thought what was interesting was the rebuilding of the Navy. And the Navy had, in 1883, had three cruisers: the Chicago, the Boston, and the Atlanta. And then they had the dispatch vessel, the Dolphin, and they were the ABCD ships. And I just thought that was kind of interesting. And in 1885, they added two more cruisers, the Charleston and the Newark. And then, now, I talked about the battleship Navy, okay? The World War II battleship Navy from the Gulf War. Now let's go with the first battleships, okay? The older battleships from the 1880s, all right? The USS Texas, USS Maine, all right? I already talked about the Navy Act. So in 1890, they were building up the Navy. We had the Texas and the Maine, and then they started building up three more battleships: the USS Indiana, the USS Massachusetts, and the USS Oregon. And then that was followed by the USS Iowa. Alright. And then, don't forget the original USS New Jersey. We had a steam-powered USS New Jersey before the modern day World War II USS New Jersey. I mean, I could talk on and on, and keep going on about history and all this stuff. You can research on the web itself. But I'm telling you, it goes really deep because they talk about the different kings and how they got involved in the different battles, especially during World War II. The Battle of the Peleliu Islands, the Marshall Islands in '43, Battle of Leyte Gulf, in 44, you know, and don't forget the deadliest battle, the Battle of Okinawa, and then Midway, Battle of Midway. And so you got to ask yourself why? Why did we have to have this Navy? Why did we have to have this Navy? That's a good question. You know, why do we have to have militaries? I mean, if every country got along, we wouldn't have to have those countries wouldn't have to have navies. We wouldn't have to have navies. We wouldn't have to have armies. Wouldn't have to have special forces or whatnot. You know, if every country got along, we wouldn't have to have all that, you know? I mean, if we could just have a world of peace, everybody just resolve our differences, we wouldn't have to fight over stupid, petty things. Because most wars are about oil, about money, about power, and about greed. And who wins the wars? Not the people fighting the wars. We get injured, we get kicked to the curb. We have to fight for benefits of the VA. But who wins? Nobody. The people that's higher up, in the higher echelons. You know, the governments. Because that's who starts the wars. And then they get more power and more monies and all this stuff. Or we might take some land, like when we, like we did with Mexico when we had the war with Mexico, making Mexican War. And what did we do? We got parts of Mexico. I'm living in part of the old Mexico, New Mexico. This was part of Mexico. Parts of little bits of Colorado and little bits of Utah. And Arizona were once part of Mexico. So we gained some land. Like I said, money, power, and greed. And oil. This is something to think about, guys. Happy Veterans Day. This is Lieutenant Kerofsky, your United States Naval Sea Cadet officer. And the United States Naval enlisted man for over nearly 24 years. I did my time, and I just want to wish everybody out there happy Veterans Day and good luck serving under this current president. This is my channel. Take a lead. If you guys want to follow me, that's where I'm at. If you want to friend me, and that was my latest mermaid video on YouTube. Mermaids, Myths, and Legends. And my group, here's my group. It's just at the back of a mermaid. I have 3 members now. You see, I got mermaid drawings. Drawings of one of my ships I did when I was a kid. And that goes into focus. And then my AI digital mermaid, that's Tiger Lee. And then there's a mermaid I did. I think I was like 13 when I drew that. And that one I did in 2007. It's just the back of my mermaid. But look at the questions I ask in the group, though. You know, I talk about mermaids are mortal beings. Only the kiss of tutor, male or female, can make them immortal. Right? Did you ask if they served in the Navy? The Little Mermaid's name is Henrietta from Hans Christian Andersen, 1875. Disney changed the name to Ariel. So he says, so I just have facts and myths and different legends where mermaids were found. He goes, Christopher Columbus spotted 3 mermaids. He recorded in his ship's journal, Columbus 1451, 1506, but most likely spotted manatees instead of mermaids. So, yeah, that's my group. If you guys want to join my group, that'd be cool. And then I'll show you one more thing. Wait a minute. Here it is. Here's the Veterans United that I tried to share. Now I just wanted to show it to my fellow veterans that's watching this. See, you got, when you click on the image, it tells you about the person. There's me, Sweepers, men and boom. It's me as his deck seaman, 18th Division on the battleship New Jersey. And that was me, see? Sweepers. Alright. And I showed the front part of the battleship. Right there. Isn't that cool? And then, actually I have 4. 3. And I'll talk about it. And then me holding it, pretending to hold up the gun. And that was my write-up that I read to you guys. A long write-up. And I got all these fellow veterans. Now, she served on one of the same ships I was on, to destroy Tymon Shenandoah. At a whole different time that I was on it. But it was 2 weeks. But this is quite nice, you know, all these veterans. And I was trying to help them out by sharing it and getting people to do it. I shared it on Facebook, and I shared it on my Blue Sky, and to share it in the battleship. The Jersey Incorporated group, but nah, didn't happen. Take care. God bless. Hang in there in this struggle. See you in the next video. kitchen. My wife has pulled out a sweet looking dish. Oh yeah. Mexican style pizza, homemade. We got the toppings, lettuce, tomatoes, some sour cream, some Tiga taco sauce. Oh wow, we are ready to eat. Thanks, Joe. This is what we're doing for Veterans Day for dinner. Oh wow.
Yeah, you won't find this at any restaurant.
No, happy Taco Tuesday and happy Veterans Day, right, huh?
That's right. Happy Veterans Day.
She cooks this pizza. Oh, nice. Yeah, I got good cheese. She's like a professional. If we want to hire my wife, Wow. All right, we are ready to eat, guys.
Ready to eat.
See what my wife does, she piles it high, huh? Oh, look at that work of art.
It is a work of art.
I mean, isn't that better than, this is better than that food at the Battleship Reunion?
Damn.
Guys, you know what I'm saying? The food was very bland. It looked good. There was a lot of it. The beans were good. But it was cold by the time I got it because I had to go to the restaurant beforehand. And then I wanted to try to find a shipmate that I was looking for. And, I don't want to talk about that, but there it is. That taco pizza. I'm gonna take a bite here, guys. Got everything in there. There it is. Well, enjoy dinner. Hope you guys are having a nice dinner on Veterans Day. I pray for all the homeless veterans. I pray for all the veterans that's injured. And I pray for all you that are in the military now under this dictator Trump. Alright, I'm back here. I wanted just to show you my battleship model. There used to be a high superstructure here that broke off. There's 2 or 3 right there. High superstructure broke off. There's one of my mermaid bell. There's my mermaid here. Here's the shadow backs that I kind of threw together with what I had at the time. I didn't have every one of my medals. These were like the extra ones. Like my Navy guy. Here I saw my certificates. And of course my mermaids. I love mermaids. And speaking of mermaids, don't forget to follow me on my channel. I'll show you.